Cowboys are doing what they're doing. Jaxson Dart is doing his thing for the New York Football Giants. His third preseason game, he continues to look terrific. This is the opening drive, the opening minute on a 2nd and 6. Look at him stepping up on the pocket bar.
And that's what you love. You know, most guys get in trouble, they retreat backward. He steps up, throws a bullseye. Speaking about Dart, Rainey.
Yeah, it's Gunnar Olszewski. He's going to take that for a 50-yard gain, puts them in the red zone, and then here's the one that had everyone excited. Dominique with the dart in the end zone.
How many references are we going to make about Jaxson Dart and Dart's three?
Bullseye.
At some point, we got to stop it.
It's a perfect name.
A triple 20.
Greg Dulcich through a tight window. And then, Dan Graziano, here's the one moment that you say to yourself, okay, we have a problem.
Hey, you got the first down, so you can slide. You can slide.
It doesn't slide.
You can slide.
It goes down. The fumble is not the important piece of this. Watch what happens to his helmet as he hits the ground. When he comes to the sideline, you can very clearly see what Brian Daboll is saying to him. He would go into concussion protocol. He'd be cleared, but he would not return to the game. So Jameis Winston came in and did what he always does. No, not throwing a pick six. He threw a touchdown to Jalen Hyatt for the score. Jaxson Dart's night and preseason come to an end, and they have been spectacular. He played 4 series in each of his 3 games in this preseason. He passed for 372 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, ran 6 times for 52 yards and a touchdown as well. Bart Scott, you host a New York-based radio sports talk show.
Oh, I do.
Jaxson Dart for the Giants. What is the first thing to say this morning?
I mean, he's done what he was supposed to do, right? He's passed every test. We don't know what that means during the regular season, but he's done everything he's supposed to. You talk about pocket presence, poise in the pocket. You talk about accuracy, everything that you want from your quarterback. And I feel like at some point they're going to have to evaluate him because he's in a unique situation. You have a rookie quarterback with a veteran coach that's basically coaching for his job. So at some point you have to sell the future, and Russ is the past. And I think the safe landing is probably going to be against the Saints.
I'm glad you said that because I think this is an important piece of this. The development of Jaxson Dart has got to be priority number 1 for the Giants, a team around which suddenly there were very good vibes, right? Like everything felt like death at the end of their season last year. They had a terrible year. The way they handled the Daniel Jones thing was terrible, and the Saquon Barkley thing made it all feel a whole lot worse. When John Mara decided to stick with his coach and his general manager, which surprised me, then what you were then doing is you're letting him draft the quarterback of the future because you believe Brian Daboll is the right guy to develop that quarterback, and there is reason to believe that. He's done it with Josh Allen. He's done it in other places. So the idea that this guy is coaching for his job is a mistake. They should not treat the season as though he is coaching to save his job. That can't be job 1, 2, 3, or 4. They got to have a chance to be much better than people think. They've got to develop the quarterback, and what it all means for the coach's job security just gets in the way of the business.
Of course. I mean, organizations that are stable in the leadership positions are the most successful ones, and the Giants haven't been that since Tom Coughlin was there.
Right.
And as a result, they haven't had success. So, yes, absolutely. Look, they draft Jaxson Dart in the first round. You're saying, yes, Brian Daboll, that's your guy. They talked to all of them, right? They had them all. They knew they couldn't get Cam Ward, but everybody else they had in, they worked them all out privately. Dart was the guy Daboll wanted. They traded up, and they got him. Okay, so now do it. But what's that look like? Like he has to make sure he's ready when they put him in. He has to make – here's the thing. At the end of the year, how Giants ownership feels about the direction of the team is going to be what makes the decision on Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. That's it. Like, not the record, but like, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like
the future
the Patriots did at the end of last year about Drake May?
Right. What you're describing is a moral hazard, and I think a lot of us have fallen into this situation where we're looking at this like, if I were Brian Daboll, what would I do to save my job? And you're right. That's the wrong way anyone should be approaching this. There's the most important player in any organization is going to be the quarterback. You have someone who's showing some promise. If you have the incentives by the management or leadership there to do anything that would rush his progress or anything that would slow his progress, then you have the wrong person or the wrong setup.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Is if he is ready, he should play when he's ready. If he's not ready, he shouldn't. And what their record is and all that stuff and what the fans are saying and all of that. But that always does factor in when you get on this hamster wheel like they've been on in Chicago. And that's how you wind up ruining a bunch of young quarterbacks.
Sure.
And you don't want to see that happen to this kid because I know it's only the preseason, but he looks good.
But this is why it's important, right? Because Dayball's future, he won, 4 or 5 games last year?
Yeah.
And we can think that they look beautiful and they look good. Well, 3. They look good, in the regular season or they look good in the preseason. But the reality is, if they don't win enough games, then you may have to move on. This is year 4 for Dayball, right? And you have a quarterback that you have to evaluate and sell the future with because if the Giants have the hardest schedule in football, they may be
maybe their record doesn't matter. But let me ask you a question.
It matters because they could be top 5, and you got Archie Manning sitting there, and you got Klubnik.
Oh, yeah, no, you're going to play the kid. At some point, they're going to play the kid. What I'm saying is that do you believe Brian Daboll is the right guy to develop the quarterback or not?
He didn't develop Daniel Jones.
If the answer to that, well,
You're saying he shouldn't be on the hot seat.
maybe I'm saying he shouldn't be on the hot seat because if you put him on the hot seat, it is natural to expect him to coach like a person on the hot seat.
I agree. I think there's some that these conversations always bug me a little because I think you're insulting someone's character when you say like they're going to do what it takes to save their job. I mean, he still works for the job. I get it. Human nature. I get it. But I do think there's some level of like, I'm the Giants coach. I'm going to do what's best for the Giants. And if they don't like it, they'll fire me. Fine. I understand what you're saying. I get it. I remember this goes back to a conversation I had years ago with Brian Cashman when I was covering the Yankees. And I asked him flat out, like, this is, you're not under contract for next year. Trade deadline's coming up. Does this have any impact? He said, if it did, I shouldn't have this job because I should be doing what's it stuck with me. Now, obviously, Brian had nothing to worry about. He's still the GM. It's 20 years later.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it's about Jaxson Dart. When he's ready, Jaxson Dart being a success is what's going to save
And
Brian
to be clear,
Daboll.
I don't mean this as critically about Brian Daboll. If you told me your job depends on you doing this, I would do it. Let me get Fortenbaugh in on the conversation here because there's a lot of gambling implications of all of this. Joe?
Yeah, the Burgundy Bros. I'll see you at the club later.
Okay, fair enough. The New York Giants, what is your best bet on them?
Week 1, plus 6.5 against Washington. Of all the Week 1 point spreads that are on the table right now, professional money has hit this side more than any other for good reason. 2, actually. Number 1, New York is one of the most undervalued teams, not because of the offense you're talking about, because of the defense. That front is going to keep them in games. Number 2, take a look at some of the quarterbacks that Washington's defense, which is overrated, beat last year. Lance, Penix, who's a rookie, Hainer, Levis, Jones, Dalton, Watson. That's just the tip of the iceberg. If that's who you're beating up on, you should be winning games. But that team's overvalued. The Giants are the play in Week 1.
Quickly, give me one on the Patriots because I think this is interesting too.
Their win total's 8.5. I'd bet the under. They're
Very
better.
high number,
They're
right?
better, but they're not that much better. They were a 4-win team last year. They were 5th worst in point differential at -128. They spent the most money in the offseason. They hire Mike Vrabel. That gets you some juice, but it doesn't get you enough. Take a look at that. That's a lot to overcome. We're asking them to win 5 more games this season. The schedule sets up nicely, but it's still a young QB. They're still finding their way. 8-9 looks like the record. The under's the play.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating. We'll have a lot of this from Joe as we go. I think the Jackets are actually extraordinary.
nice.
I mean, they're pretty much identical, even though you tried to bring up the different grapes that they perhaps resemble. Coming up, much more from Jerry Jones, who had so much to say yesterday.